I've always been very, very ambitious, but I'm driven on achievements. So when I achieve something, I want to work harder to achieve more. And for me, my biggest achievement was graduate with a distinction, top 5 of my class, in a very difficult course where my English wasn't very good at the time. And I worked so hard at it that I managed to achieve it. And then after that, I thought, you know what, if I work hard at it, I can take over the world. And that's what kept me going through the 6 months of interviews and assessment centers and all of that. It felt like there was no end.
What's up, lovely people? Welcome back to another video right here on Entrepreneur Podcast Club. I'm your host, Mr. EPC. Give big, massive round of applause to my very special guest, Tammy. So welcome to the show first and foremost, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. No, it's a massive pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So you have purchased 5 properties at the moment.
Yes.
So what is your strategy in property?
So we've started just over a year ago, and our strategy from the beginning has always been flips and HMOs. We really enjoy the aspect of transforming a property. We work a lot with probates, and we love seeing that transformation through. And HMOs mainly for the cash flow, just to keep the company going, really.
Okay, fantastic. So for some of the viewers that may not know, what is a flip and what is a HMO?
So a flip is when you purchase a property that is in need of a bit of TLC, basically. So it's a property that in different ways you can add value to it, and then you can sell it and make a profit. So for us, we mainly work with probate properties. So they're just a little bit tired, and then we do a full refurb, sometimes back to brick, sometimes a lighter refurb. And with that, it makes the property more appealing for house buyers. And then we put it back on the market and we sell it and we make a profit. With HMOs, it's very similar. It depends on what property we're working with to begin with. So we usually we work with commercial properties, mainly offices. We do a full refurb, back to brick, so we can get all of our compliance aspects in place, like your emergency lighting, smoke alarm, all integrated, your fire doors. So it's a full refurbishment. We work with properties that we can utilize the floor space as much as possible to make nice big rooms, but as many rooms as we can. Once that's ready, we rent the property on a room by room basis. We work with professionals, all en suite HMOs, so we have some really good tenants, and that means that we can make a higher profit than renting the house as a unit. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of HMO, what do those acronyms stand for?
House of multiple occupation.
Okay, fantastic. Mm-hmm. So you said you bought your very first property about a year ago.
Yeah.
So how did you fund your very first property?
So I've been very fortunate to work with a partner who also acts as an investor. So we both used savings going into the property industry. And so the first one was funded with cash. The refurb was funded with cash. The ones after that were a mixture of cash and bridging finance.
Okay, so in terms of bridging finance, what is bridging finance?
So bridging finance is a loan, basically. So a standard mortgage, for example, the lender will look at mostly you as a borrower. So if you can you repay that mortgage? We'll look at your affordability. We'll look at the house as well, but not as much. It takes a lot longer. Whereas a bridging finance, they will look mainly at the property, at what you want to do with that property. Is it feasible? Can they see your exit as a feasible exit, so they get paid in the end? So it's a much quicker way of borrowing money. It's more expensive than a traditional mortgage. But for us, we work with speed. We try and turn around as many properties as possible. So bridging finance works for us really well.
Okay. So you mentioned there about exit. So what is exit?
So that's the first thing we look at, even before we go and visit a property. So exits are your ways. So I see an exit as my way of making money in that project. How can I make money in that project? So you have different exits. You can buy a property to rent, so that's your exit. You're renting that property to a tenant, you're keeping it within your portfolio. Another exit could be a flip, for example, which is what we do the most. So you buy that property to sell and make a profit, and that's your exit. You've exited the project with your profit, the house has gone to somebody else, you move on to the next one. With a HMO, you are looking at keeping the property within your portfolio, collecting rent, and if you're lucky and you've got a really good deal, you end up with no money stuck in as well. So there is several different exits. Those three are the ones that we've worked with before, but HMO and flips are the exits that we work with the most.
Okay, fantastic. Some really good, valuable information there for the viewers. So you mentioned there leaving no money in the deal. So talk to us about the end-to-end journey and what that actually is.
Okay, so the main thing for us is due diligence, especially when we want to leave no money in the deal. So we need to make sure before we even go to view that property, if it's a HMO, that the location works for it. So we're going to be able to rent those rooms for the amount that we are planning, that we are putting in our budget. So we do a lot of studies around the area itself, the demand for rooms, what kind of rooms are in demand. So that's how we start. Then we go and look at the property and we look at what is it on sale for, what works are needed, because that will determine how much we can actually pay for that property if we want to have an exit with no money tied in. So we make all those calculations, we determine how much we can pay by knowing how much we are going to spend, with a bit of a contingency as well. And then we do that work, we rent the rooms, and then we get a refinance. So let's say we've paid 100 grand for a HMO that we're going to renovate, and then we rent those rooms for £500 each. We've got 5 rooms in there, but it costs us 50 grand to do the renovation. So we are in for 150 grand. If we use finance, and that finance is costing us an extra £10,000, we're in for 160. So we need to make sure from the beginning that when we refinance that property, we're going to be able to get 160 plus 25%, which is the deposits that we'll have to leave in with the lender. So if we manage to achieve that, that means that you've initially put £160,000 into the project, you refinance it, you get your £160,000 back. So you'll continue to receive rent, but you have no money tied into that deal.
Okay, right, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thank you. So in terms of property, I'm presuming you've done a lot of training with different property investors and trainers. So what type of training are you currently doing or have done?
So I've had a mentor, we've had a mentor, my partner and I, from the get-go. From the beginning, before we even started actively working in property, we did a lot of research in terms of what you need to know, what skills you need to have, what mentorships are around, what training courses are around, and then we did the research into the trainers as well. We decided to find someone that not only we found credible within the industry, they actually does what he teaches, but also someone that has a personality that we would gel with. I think that was the most important thing for us. So we started our mentorship in June last year. Yeah, we've been going strong since then. We couldn't have achieved, I think, half of what we've achieved without that mentorship, because you can find so much information online nowadays, but that can act as a double-edged sword. because it's an overload of information. Nothing that you find online on a video is the full story of either a strategy, how a project went, the issues that the person had within the project, and what remedies they put in place to rectify those issues. So for us, having that complete picture was very important from the get-go, and we knew that we could only get that with a mentor that would be supporting us throughout the way and throughout the journey.
Okay, so when you've done your due diligence with the mentor, what sort of things do you look at?
I think that will be different for everybody. So for my partner and I, we wanted to find someone that was down to earth, that was doing all the deals that he was teaching. So someone that was actively working in property, as well as doing a mentorship and training courses. We wanted to find someone that we could relate to in terms of personality. So my partner and I were very down to earth. We work really hard. So we wanted to find someone that basically wasn't just coming across as, you can make money, you can make like as much money as you want, as quick as you want, and you can quit your job within 2 weeks of joining property. Because in reality, I think some people do that, and you know what, I give a lot of credit to the people that actually achieve that, but it's not an easy thing to do. And I think everything that comes fast goes fast. So we wanted to find someone that would go on a journey with us and not just sell a dream, because we've had that dream from the get-go. We've got that goal, is how to get there. So we wanted someone that didn't push the dream, but helped us understand what is required and what we have to learn and what skills we have to acquire, not a time frame as in you'll be able to achieve that in 2 months, 3 months, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So going back to what you mentioned, some of these trainers, you quit the job within 2 weeks. So in terms of, let's say, HMO, you're buying a property, and those type trainers will say, you quit your job in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, if you're looking to refinance a property, then that would be a big blocker, because you do need some sort of income, especially if it's your very first property that you're buying. So how did you ensure that you went with a trainer that would see the long-term vision as opposed to the short-term vision in terms of, quick money, quick cash? Because there's money to be made in property.
Absolutely.
But some property mentors out there, some of them are very inexperienced.
Yes.
And some of them, they look like they're doing well on social media, but in reality they aren't. So what are the steps that people could take to ensure that they root out some of these people who look like they're doing well on social media, but not in real life, and these sort of like fake mentors?
Yeah. So I think the best advice I can give is look them up. Literally look them up. If someone is doing well as a business, you'll be able to find it out. So go on Companies House, look at their companies. Are they making money from what they're saying they're making money? Are they teaching how to get bridging finance? Have they ever got a bridging finance? So you can see all of those things. You can look at the properties that they own, what charges are in that property. Is it a bridge? Is it a mortgage? Is it a residential mortgage? Is it a commercial mortgage? So then you will know they've done it. Not only that, a lot of people are very good at what they do, but they're not very good at teaching it to others. And it's down to personality, and teaching is a skill, is an amazing skill. And for those that can do it, I've got a lot of time for them, because it's not easy. So try and find someone that you can look at what they've done on Companies House, see how their companies are going, see what kind of things that they've done within their journey that they are teaching now. Watch some YouTube videos from those people as well. See how their message comes across when they are trying to teach something. Is it clear enough? Is it clear for you to understand? Because that's the most important thing. Get some, you can access a lot of trainers that will have like Trustpilot reviews, endless reviews on their website. Now, we all know, and I'm not saying that they do it, but I can go and get a Trustpilot review from my best friend saying that my business is absolutely amazing and I can make you rich in 7 days. That's not necessarily the truth. So what you can do as well, look for testimonials from people that are actually in the industry. So serious trainers will have, so for example, for my mentor, I've done video testimonials for my mentor, and if you go on my social media websites, those social media platforms, you'll be able to see them. I'm actually doing those deals, those strategies, and I'm working in the industry. So try to be very thorough when you choose a mentor, just because they will, if they're doing well and if they're genuine, there will be clues along the way. And social media is going to be your best friend to finding out how people are actually doing, because you can use what's been posted on social media to then try and find it out through Companies House, through I bought titles of properties that my mentor has. He doesn't even know this. He's probably going to listen to this here. But I wanted to know, has he actually done that deal? And has he actually made that much money? Because when you buy a title, most of the time you can actually see what the property was purchased for, and you will know what the property has been sold for. So I think I was very critical when trying to find a mentor, but I'm so glad I was, because without my mentor I wouldn't be where I am today, and he's been absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have asked for more.
Okay, fantastic. So you mentioned there about your mentor. So who is your mentor?
So my mentor is Saj Hussain. He's a property investor in Midlands, so he's mainly based in Birmingham. But that doesn't mean that you have to be from Birmingham to have Saj as a mentor. I come all the way from Southport, and it works amazingly for us. So yeah, Saj Hussain, recommend 100%.
Yeah, because Saj is a very credible guy.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for years, very reputable. If you ask people, they always got good things to say about Saj.
Yeah.
He's also doing what he's teaching as well. So Saj is a very good mentor to go with. I will put Saj's website down in the description box below. So if you are looking to go into property, you can book in a free consultation call with Saj, I believe, and then you can just take it from there. So you mentioned there previously about your partner. Is that your business partner?
Yeah, so it's both my life and my business partner.
Yeah.
So it's Danny. Danny and I work really, really well together. We have skills that complement each other. So Danny, for example, he will find all the deals. He will do all the due diligence. He's the spreadsheet king. You know, he's got his 3 screens in the office, and he'll be looking at all the numbers and everything. And then I do the negotiation, I do the refurb numbers. I also have a second mentor that I didn't mention who helps me with the refurbs, mostly the refurbs of the projects, who I met through Saj's network as well. That's Martin Rapley.
Okay.
So I've joined his mentorship as well, just for the refurb part of the project. So I do that. I project manage the builds. I deal with all the contractors. I deal with all the materials. I do the design, the layout. So he will do his bit. He'll pass it on to me, and then I take it to the end of the journey of that project. So it works really, really well. Okay,
fantastic. So you mentioned there previously about being on social media as well.
Yeah.
So what is your name on social media?
So it's our company name is Brick and Beam Limited. If you have any questions, guys, on anything, flips, HMOs, what to look for in a mentor, what questions to ask when looking for a mentor, you know, I'm more than happy to help. I think the most important thing within this industry is that there's room for everybody, and if we help each other along the journey, we're only going to become more credible as a unit of property investors and developers. So yeah, there's no stupid question. Reach out, and I'm happy to help anyone.
Okay, fantastic. So are you on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube?
So
what platforms are you on?
I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I've actually just started LinkedIn, so I am trying to make an effort to make it look good. Instagram, I've been on Instagram with the business just for a couple of months. So I'm working on those platforms. And Facebook I've been since the beginning, but I use mostly Instagram and LinkedIn at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll put the links to Tammy's business in the description box below, all the social media links. So if you are interested in anything that Tammy said or want some advice, please do drop her a message. So in terms of the company name, how did you come up with the company name?
So Brick and Beam what came up when we were doing our first renovation. So our goal was to work with tired properties within our community, mainly because we see so many new builds going up, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's so many beautiful properties that just need a little bit of TLC, and it will make such a difference within the community to turn those derelict buildings into a lovely home for a family. So when we were doing our first renovation was when we had to deal with structural walls for the first time and structural wall removal. And we took it back to brick, and we had to put some steel beams in. And then we were walking around the property one day and we thought, oh, brick and beam, you know, like changing traditional properties that need a bit of work into beautiful homes. And you do that by working with the core and the foundation, the actual skeleton of the property. And that's where the name came from. We're playing around with words that had a meaning in terms of what we were doing. And brick and beam came and stuck, and that's what it is, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So where were you born and bred?
So I'm originally from Brazil, São Paulo. Yeah, I love my country. But yeah, Brazil.
Okay, so you're born in Brazil, and then what age were you when you came to the UK?
So I came to the UK when I was 17 years old. I was meant to be here only for a year. I got into vet school in Brazil when I was 17, 'cause I did my A-levels a year earlier than usual. But because I had to live on campus, I couldn't live on campus until I was 18. So I had been working since I was 13, just doing bits and pieces for my granddad, worked in a clothes shop. So I said to my mum, I want to learn some English because I think it's going to help me in the future when I become a vet. So I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to do like an exchange program. So I came to the UK because I love the accent. I'm still working on getting that accent perfect, but one day it will come, maybe in another 20 years of living here. But yeah, so I came just to be here for a year. Fell in love with the country, the people, not the weather, but I'm working on that. And then decided to stay. So I started working. So I was in London at the time, lived in London for 4 years, worked as a cleaner, worked as a nanny, worked as a waitress, and did all those jobs to save money to get into university in the UK. So about 6 years later, I got into university. I went to Leeds, didn't do vet, but it's all right. Did biomedical sciences, and loved the course. I've always been passionate about science. Worked in the NHS after that. Actually, within university as well. I really struggled because I thought I spoke English before I went to university. And I couldn't understand half of the stuff the lectures were telling me. So I used to record all of the lectures and go back home and turn on my dictaphone to be able to make notes. So I worked really, really hard, but I was really, really happy with the results. I came out with a distinction, top 5 of my class. Loved it, felt like I could take on the world. And then I went to work for the NHS. So I worked on mainly advising doctors on what antibiotics to use for the different infections and illnesses based on lab results. So I did that for a year. I enjoyed it, but I felt like that wasn't for me because there wasn't much progression. I've always been very ambitious from an early age. So I left NHS. I applied for a graduate scheme with one of the at the time was one of the top 5 manufacturers, food manufacturers in the UK. I believe now they are top 3. Went through a very difficult process of assessment. It took me 6 months. So I got into a graduate scheme, one of 8 that got in. There were over 30,000 applicants. So it was a gruesome 6 months of interviews, assessment centres and all of that. I was very, very happy to get through it. Started working for this company as a team leader in manufacturing. I learned so much in terms of communication, in terms of team and people management. I learned how to be a manager, not a boss. I learned how to bring the best out of people within my team. And those skills have helped me so much in what I did today. So I worked for that company for about 7 years. And then I moved on to a bigger role with a different company, still within the same industry. I was with them for 2 years. And throughout my career in the food industry, so I was a quality manager, quality and food safety manager. I worked in very high profile projects. But in my mind, I've always felt like I didn't really belong there. I felt like I was doing massive projects for the benefit of people that didn't even know who I was. And there was always going to be a ceiling. So it doesn't matter how hard I worked, I would always have to work a certain amount of years, earn a potential salary that at the time I was happy with, but I wasn't happy with the fact that that was the salary I could earn. And then that's it. It stopped there. And I've always worked to better myself. So I've always tried to work and look for my future self. So always trying to improve as I go along. And for me, the idea of having a ceiling where I couldn't go any further than that, it just hit really hard. So it got to a point where I had some savings, my own car was paid off, I had my house, and then I thought, I need to do something for myself. And Danny and I started talking. He always wanted to open a business. He's got his own business as well, doing something else, but he wanted to do something where he could be more hands-on and he could see a better result, a better return for his investment, basically. So I quit my job. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, guys. I think, if I went back, because of the type of person I am, I would have done exactly the same. But if someone asks me, how would you advise to transition from the corporate world into your own business? I would always say, go slow, keep your job, until you can replace your income.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. So what I did, I quit my job, sold my car, rented my house, and put all the money I had into just living, surviving, paying the bills, and learning about property and property investment. Then Danny and I invested in our first flip, and it was hard. I think living a corporate job where you have an income coming in, or any job where you have an income coming in and you can plan your expenses, to having nothing and still having those expenses is really hard. It was a massive mindset shift for me to stop thinking about the present and start thinking about the future. So yeah, that was just over a year ago, and I couldn't be happier. Now, have I replaced my income yet? Not really, but I've reinvested everything. We've reinvested everything that we've made, and we know where we want to get to. So yeah, it's been a journey, Sorry, I think I've talked too much. I haven't given you any opportunity to ask anything.
No, it's fine. I've got a couple of questions
Okay.
on the back of that. So you mentioned there about quitting your job. So let's go through a little timeline. So you went into property in June 2023.
Yes.
So what month did you quit your job?
End of March
March 2023.
2023.
Okay.
Yes.
And then June you got your first property. Is that when you picked up the keys or when you put in the offer, gone through legals?
When I picked up the keys. Yes,
Okay.
it was an auction property, so we started the process around mid-April. Yeah.
Okay. So that property, the first one you brought, was that a flip or a HMO?
It was a flip.
Flip, okay. And in terms of that, have you sold that property now?
Yes, yes. So that was our first project, Project The Roll. We refurbished and sold and completed in that property within 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow, that's really good.
It was a very intense project. I remember I was driving 2 hours there, 2 hours back. Something I would never recommend. Work within your area. It's so much easier to manage it. But we had lots of issues with builders. But in the end, again, couldn't have done it without the community and the mentorship. But in the end, we pulled it together, and it turned out to be a good project for us.
Okay, fantastic. So in terms of your second property, when did you purchase your second property?
So we purchased 2 at the same time in August 2023.
Oh, wow, okay. So were those flips or HMOs?
One is a flip that is going on the market next week. Unfortunately, we had loads of issues with damp and mainly damp with that property. So the refurb's been delayed a little bit, but it will go on the market next week. And the HMO as well, 6-bed HMO in Leeds city centre.
Oh, wow, okay. So in terms of the HMO, is that rented out? And
It is, yeah. So it's rented out, really good return. What we're doing at the moment, we're going through planning to increase the size of rooms, and then we're planning on selling this HMO. We're trying to move away from Leeds because this is too difficult for us to manage the project and drive all the way there and drive all the way back. So we are now putting all our efforts into properties within maximum 45 minutes of where we live. So yeah, the HMO will go on sale, we're hoping by December.
Okay, fantastic. So those are 3, and then you got 2 other ones as well. So when did you buy property 4 and 5?
So property 4 was Ashfield, sorry, they all kind of mingle into one.
Yeah.
So property 4 was Ashfield Road. That's a commercial property that we're turning into a HMO. So we've picked up the keys for that property last week. We're going through architectural drawings at the moment and planning permission to go from a C1 Class E to a sui generis HMO, which is a larger HMO.
Okay, and property number 5?
So property number 5, I think that's more like property number 2. So that one has a funny history that comes with it. It's actually, when I first started in this journey, I had what's called as the shiny penny syndrome. So as I said before, there's so much online and you can see so many people making money with different strategies. And I thought I heard so much about essays. Everyone is making money with essays. It's a printing machine, it's a money printing machine. You know, you get an essay and you're set for life.
Yeah.
So I had that property, which was rented on a long-term AST, and I decided to turn it into an essay because everyone was doing it at the time. So I did that. It's been good. It's made us some money, not a lot, nothing like you see on YouTube videos. But it's been, that property has been good for us. But we've got quite a bit of equity on it at the moment, so we are selling. It's actually on the market now. I say it's a property part of all the 5 that we've done so far, but this is the property that we've worked on the least, to be honest with you. But it's also, in a way, the property that we've learned the most from, And for us was to put the blinkers on, like Saj usually says, put the blinkers on, pick a strategy that works for your end goal and become the best at it. And I failed at that right at the beginning. And I started doing essays, even though my journey was HMOs and flips. So that was the 5th property, which is on sale now. We're gonna get all that equity out of that property and invest into another HMO conversion.
Okay, fantastic. So let's say someone's watching this and they're working a full-time job or they look to get into property. What advice could you give them?
Oh, don't do what I did. Don't do what I did unless you've got to be in a really strong mindset. But I would say it depends on where you are starting from. If you've got some money to invest, find a JV partner, make sure that you guys work well together, do your first project. I've been looking lately into assisted sales, which is a great place for someone to start with low capital to invest. So do some research into that. That's a really good way of establishing your ongoing strategy within property without having to invest a lot of money to start with. Sourcing alongside your day job to replace your income. Now there's a lot of things about sourcing on social media and loads of you can earn 10-30 grand a year or a month doing sourcing. Sourcing is really, really difficult, but if you become good at it and if you become an expert and if you can prove to investors that you can deliver, sourcing is a great way of starting your property journey alongside your day-to-day job. But yeah, just don't quit your job until you replace your income. Not like I did, please.
Yeah, fantastic. Some really good advice there. So going back to your graduate training scheme, you said that took about 6 months before you got it. How did you stay motivated during that time?
I think, and you know what, I've been asked that question before, and thinking back, I've always been very, very ambitious, but I'm driven on achievements. So when I achieve something, I want to work harder to achieve more. And for me, my biggest achievement was graduate with a distinction, top 5 of my class, in a very difficult course where my English wasn't very good at the time. And I worked so hard at it that I managed to achieve it. And then after that, I thought, you know what, if I work hard at it, I can take over the world. And that's what kept me going through the 6 months of interviews and assessment centres and all of that. It felt like there was no end. But deep down, I felt like, you know what, I've got this. Because I know that if I put in enough effort, I will take out the reward in the end.
Okay, fantastic. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for this podcast. I've been your host, Mr. EPC. Big shout out to Tammy for taking the time out to come and speak to me with this podcast. So if you did like this podcast, please do hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And I will put all of Tammy's links for her social media in the description box below. And do look out for the next podcast. And thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
No problem.